Welcome to this Biscuit Boys Extra. I'm going to cut into it. There's no chase. I've been absolutely lost around this Mel Maison, and I was a taxi driver for 13 years in Birmingham. I am joined by a living legend, and when I say legend, I really mean a legend. This guy has sold something like 50 million records, and when I went to Salou in Spain, there was only one, and it weren't CDs, it weren't records, it was the little cassettes. There was only one cassette, all the way from Birmingham to Spain, and it was Imagination. Oh. And I love Imagination.
But which album?
Do you know? I don't know. Leee John, Welcome to Birmingham. It was about 1983.
We don't do age.
I used to work in a nightclub back then. Mm-hmm. You know, there used to be, it was Faces French, there was a soul bar,
okay,
and there was a new romantic bar. Mm-hmm. Now, I've always been...
Where about in Spain?
This was a holiday they went in Spain,
okay,
but I used to work at a nightclub in Birmingham.
Oh, I see, okay.
And I knew, through my contacts and so on, that you was an absolutely superstar, your band Imagination. And through working nights there and listening to the soul music, I did love Imagination. I thought you were American.
Many people did.
Yeah,
Many
but you're not.
Did.
You're from London, so let's start.
I'm from London, but I grew up in America for 5 years. Okay. Just myself. My parents split, and then I lived with my father for a while, and I was signed to a record label when I was about 11, 12, called Worldwide Records in New York. And nothing happened. My father wanted me to stay in school and all that kind of stuff. So I came back to the UK with my mum. My mum was pleading for me to come back. So I came back. And then when we were about 14, I was involved with a duo. We were a duo. Everybody was going Jackson 5 Mania. So any little black kids that could, go baby, get a more chance, share, I love you. Anyone that was doing all that kind of stuff. And we were like, yeah, got to be there. We were all trying to be like Michael Jackson. And so they signed us to, I remember we went into EMI Records, and in the reception was the manager. He was the manager of Spiders of Mars. I don't know if you remember them. They were the backing band for David Bowie.
Yeah.
And we had this gusto. When you're young, you just do anything, And we were we'd singing in our kitchens and write our little songs and put them on cassettes. And we were working with some local musicians and doing some bits and pieces. Anyway, we went into this EMI reception and sang a cappella, and he signed us to the label.
Oh, no.
And we had, the backing band we had was Gonzalez. Remember Gonzalez? Haven't stopped dancing yet.
Great song.
They were the top UK session musicians. Some of the guys went to Rob Stewart, some of them went all over the place. Yeah, and in actual fact, I was speaking to Hamish Stewart of Average White Band, and he was saying that they were one of the best bands. They had every kind of musician. So we were kind of spoiled. 2 songs later, one called Get Up, one called One Life to Live, which nobody can get. I think they were number 1 in my local tavern, down the road. Number 5 in Hornsey Road, London. Yeah. Nothing happened, but it was an amazing experience because it showed me I wanted to be better. It showed me, because we went to school with our velvet jackets and our snakeskin shoes, thinking, yeah, man, we're stars, yay. And, it was an amazing experience. So I decided that I really need to hone, as they call it, my craft, get myself as better, become a good singer, really work on my writing, become the best. So I played bingo halls, I played pubs, I did, for years, I did sessions. I was in my teens still. Yeah. And I did loads of sessions. I did everything, acting. And it was amazing because even recently I was just thinking, because the lead singer, Linton Beckles from Central Line, he passed away recently. And a little memory came into my mind because I remember doing I was doing a lot of part-time things. And we were working at an engineering company, just as clerks, and we'd have a lunchtime and we'd be sitting there dreaming of our aspirations, what we wanted to do. And then he went off to do Central Line, I went to Imagination, and it was just those kind of little funny dreams that you remember. Yeah. And I was gigging with a group called the Sun Valley Serenaders, I remember very well. And it was a very important part of my life because they used to do a local gig at a Brixton pub called the George Canning Pub. We do every Thursday, and the Cool Notes would do a Wednesday, and we would do steel band, calypso, reggae, funk, soul, everything. You know, it was a great learning experience. And in between that, I became a singing waiter in the West End.
Blimey.
So, and that was for about 9 months, where you served food. I was a lousy waiter. And then they did this big spectacular show about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the evening, and it would go on till about 1 at night. Then you have to clear all the tables, come home and get up again to do it all again. And it was amazing because we did from show tunes to Motown to West End classics. It was across the board because our impresario is from New York. So he really drove you. And then I had waiters that came in when you were performing and stuff. And I used to get away with murder because I was just awful. You know, like, you know, someone wanted a steak, I'd bring it badly, I'd just dance or sing or whatever. And then he'd say, Lee, come on, do a song here. And then we have ensemble numbers. So it was like a training ground.
Yes.
But then every Thursday they'd allow me off so I could go back to Brixton and, you know, play the heavy dub and play the heavy things. But, you know, I was part of a whole Brit funk movement, which started in the clubs in London, in local London, I'd say North London. Mm-hmm. So you had groups like Light of the World, you had Lynx, you had Junior, you had Central Line, as I said before. Yep. All of us went to the same clubs. So as soon as one of us broke, like the High Tension guys, we knew them as well. Because they were all went to the same clubs. You know, it was really import music from America that we were listening to, you know. T Connection and Brothers Johnson and Funkadelic and stuff. There was this whole movement. So as soon as one broke, we followed that group. And we realized all of a sudden in London, there was this movement of UK black British musicians doing it. It was punk was happening. And a lot of the punk guys would go to soul clubs. Like, you know, like that one day they were like soul. The next day they'd have ripped up jeans and spit on people. You know, it's kind of weird. But we were all very different. And we wanted to be very different. We wanted to be unique. And even when people say, about imagination, we're really outrageous, really different in how we visually looked. But that projection came from the club scene. Yes. It came from the club scene at the time, from the New Romantics, the punks. And it was a very creative, innovative period because technology was changing. And so everybody was pushing the button. There were no limits. It was in a multiracial society. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was the Thatcher government, but they were giving you the outlets and the platforms for you to do that, which you don't really have as much now. It's all you can do it all online and internet, which is great, and which is a very good source. But for you to reach people, it was very organic, very analog, as they say. Everything we did was analog, you know, writing, doing the music was all tape, you know, and stuff like that. So. My life before Imagination, before we even had that first hit, was equally important. Where I came from, my background, you know, the gang I went around with, you know, the music we listened to, you know, the sound systems going on. We with the sound systems one day, then we'd go to a funk club the next day. My mother would be having town hall dances where they're playing Calypso and, you know, Ray and the Immigrants, all these groups from St. Lucia, where we're from. So I had a very mixed, you know, upbringing. And I'm glad I had a childhood as well because, you know, we didn't grow up too fast. We learnt responsibility. And even growing up, I remember, even in those bands I just talked about and doing those things, I had to bring my own microphone. I had to bring in my own leads. I had to help set up the, you know, like I remember with the group, you know, most of the times we did gigs, I remember that I had to do the sound for the whole band, and they won't allow me on stage until they thought, right, the sound is right. Yep. So they'd be playing instrumental after instrumental, or a little something, da da da. I'm waiting, when am I going to go on? And the main guy who's in charge of it, Matthew, he could see me, and he said, he turned around and goes, and you think I'm about to go on. He does another number, and then he's pointing a little bit more here, a little bit more for the bass, a little bit more for the. So I had to learn how to engineer way before I even had a studio. Mm-hmm. You know, it was one of those responsibilities as a musician, you know. And then I did some acting as well. That was some of the different things. So
Doctor Who.
That was later.
Yeah.
That was much later.
Yeah, I know.
Doctor Who came about because we had Music and Lights in the charts at the time with Imagination. And one of the characters had fallen out. They'd got sick or something. Okay. So my manager was sitting with the producer. I was sitting on the next chair. And I said, they said, was it David Nathan Turner, I think his name was. I think his name was that. And he was saying, "Oh, we've got a character that's left Doctor Who." I said, "Oh, I could do it, yeah, you know." Yeah, and then my manager went, "And yeah, Lee could do that part. Yeah, what is it? Give him the script. He would take it." And I just was bluffing.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, let's get Lee in it. That'd be fantastic. Think of the publicity, great." And I remember one of my reviews was Lee just went from one costume into another, so it should be an easy transition. Watch this space. So it was interesting.
Your first hit as Imagination, was it Flashback?
No,
What one was it?
Body Talk.
Searching for the touch of life. No words are spoken. The only sound we hear is body talk. Body talk. The heat of passion is such a beautiful thing. As it overflows, pleasure grows. All the dreams it can bring. You're losing my eyes. A gentle sighs. Body talk, body talk. Cool and calm, so soft and pure. A touching moment. Hidden feelings once explored, but have melted. We were two souls torn apart with bitter edges. Through expression, non-aggression, we have become body talk, body talk. Cool and calm,
we were very lucky. Luck has a lot to do with it and being in the right place. How we got our deal, because I think that's very important, where you start from. You're early, you know, I stress that how you begin is something that in later life will always come back to you. So it's so important where your roots begin. And with Body Talk, I originally had recorded with a very, very famous producer called Trevor Horn.
Yeah.
And Trevor Horn, he produced later on Seal, Thank You Goes to Hollywood, Grace Jones, and he'd done a group called Buggles, Video Kill Radio Star. And just before he did Buggles, actually maybe the same year, his girlfriend was Tina Charles at the time. And
Lost in France.
no, I Love to Love.
That was
You
on.
get it bloody wrong. Listen to you.
No, I always get that.
Blimey. So anyway, what happened? What happened? I was doing a session, I remember, with a singer called Sonia Jones. God, she'll be all in my book. There should be. She sang remember the film Life of Brian?
Oh, yes.
Well, the one that says Brian. It's a friend of mine, Sonia. She sang that. She was trying to do like a thing, takeoff of Shirley Bassey.
Yeah.
So we were in this little session together, and still late early teens, whatever. And he picked me because he felt I had this sort of smooth kind of tone. And the managers that were dealing with these sessions, whatever, said, look, we would like to make him, a star or whatever, And I just went along with them and said, okay. So we recorded some stuff together, but nothing really happened. And I was always in about 3 bands at the same time. You could never... I've kind of come back to that situation. Not that I'm in 3 bands, but I'm doing different projects.
Yes.
So I'm kind of taking my youth, what I used to do in my youth, and I'm doing it in my adulthood bit now. So nothing has changed. I had a gap in between, but now. But I was always happy because I was always doing one group and then I'd do something else and something else. And it was all in the same week, which is typical Lee. So this track we did called Got to Be Good. And Got to Be Good had this really big arrangement. If you know Trevor Horn's work, it's a huge arrangement. So someone told me to go down to R&B. There's a company called R&B which was starting. They hadn't got a label put together, but they were just starting up and they're looking for new artists. And so I had a meeting with this guy called Morgan Khan. Morgan Khan opened up the Street Sounds label later on. And he was the A&R guy there. He was mad and crazy like me. That's what everybody used to say. Oh, you're going to love him. And we went there, and he was playing me all this music. And he's saying, this is the kind of thing I want. I want a bit this. And he's playing me this. If you got something like that. So I said, okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to send you a cassette and see if you like this. So I sent him this track, Got to Be Good. Got a call back. Literally within the same week. I love this song. Tell me the story. What's behind this? I said it was with my old management company. Well, they are still managing me. But I did this with this guy, Trevor. I said, well, we want to... I spoke to my directors of the company, and they want to release it. So I thought, oh, okay. So, wow. But the thing was, though I'd done this song with Trevor, it was a good song, but it still wasn't the kind of me.
Okay.
It wasn't me. It wasn't really where I was at. It was more his production, and I was singing and wrote bits of the song. Anyhow, by that time, I was still doing sessions. I met up with Ashley, who was the bass player, in quite a few of the things I was doing. He actually played bass and played guitar. So we were doing a lot of sessions, and I'd drag him along to all these different things I was doing. So I remember we'd sent the track to America because they were going to put some of the American musicians on the track to give it something. The tapes went missing. And this is supposed to be the first single. So to make me feel good or try and, feel my ego or something, build up my ego or something, they introduced me to Tony Swain, who became our producer for Imagination. Yeah. And he had a piece of music on a cassette, a little rough thing, and they said, oh, you're a really good writer. I know you can write something incredible for this. Please, this is the record company. And I was like, I was really pissed off because I wanted that song to be the single. Yeah. So I took it home and I listened to it, and I fell in love with the melody, the chords, I should say. And I wrote Body Talk. Yeah. And literally like that on my mum's kitchen table. I wrote it because once I'm into something, I just go for it.
Yeah.
And then I called Ashley up and I said, look, I've got this part I want you to do when we go into the studio. I think this would be really, really good. And because we were into Ashford and Simpson a great deal, because they were great writers and they were more popular in America than they were here. Before Solid as a Rock, they'd written for so many people. But as a duo, they had this kind of gospel sort of feel with jazz and stuff. And I loved their sound. So I said, let's try and do like a male version of that. So Morgan booked the studio. Tony Swain came in. He didn't know who we were, what was going on. And I said, look, I know what I'm doing, being me. I said, right, da-da-da-da-da. So I said, okay. So I went in. I knew all the vocal arrangement, everything. And he just sat there, thinking, okay, I've got the levels and stuff. Yeah. The only thing we may have changed is Ashley's key register. He was singing high. We put him down lower. And it was a one take of Body Talk.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started. And then Steve Jolly came in, who was a co-writer with Tony as part of his team. And then while Body Talk was being promoted, we brought Errol in because I thought we needed a drummer to give it that kind of police look, a visual look, more than actually what he did. He was great live and stuff like that. And then after we had the second single, In and Out of Love, followed by Flashback, followed by Illusion, followed by Music and Lights, followed by Changes, it went on. We had a lot of hits throughout the decade. So we were very blessed. And internationally, our very first album, the Body Talk album, every single track was released around the world. Tell Me Do You Want My Love, Burning Up became a club classic. And in New York, they played it, Larry Levan, the big DJ over there, he played it a lot. And then So Good So Right, and which I do in the show, so which is great. But that's me going at the BPM of 320. My life story in 20 seconds.
Well, this is what I love, and this is what I love, to interview people that want to talk, because that's what it's about. It's about getting things down on tape, on cassette, on a recording piece of equipment. Doesn't matter what it is. It's all about you, the artist, about your story. You're here in Birmingham now because you're playing the Jam House. Yeah. Have you played the Jam House before?
Yeah, we have. Okay. We played about maybe 2 years now. It was really good then. So I'm hoping... No, I'm not hoping. It should be very good. I want as many people to come out because we do all the classics. We have fun.
Yeah.
My motto is, you turn on the news, you think, oh my God. You turn on the radio, oh my Lord. So when you come and see Imagination, you want to escape.
Yeah.
You want to go into that world. And, I do, let's say, the oldies and the goodies, but also bringing some new things as well. I got this new track, which was on the greatest hits. We had the best of last year on Sony, Best of Imagination. And I've done a new version with a mix by this guy called Serge Raymakers from Belgium. And also David Morales, DJ, who's a good friend of mine, has done a mix. And it's called Crash All Night Long. and we're going to do that. And also I had a very in Europe especially, and it's now getting a big audience. I did a jazz album called Feel My Soul, and I've developed quite a cult following with that. So I do quite a lot of shows with the quartet, as well as doing the Imagination shows. And I'm on tour. Well, I start the ending of May on tour. I'm doing something with Dennis Edwards from The Temptations, and I go right into tour with Earth, Wind and Fire and Kool and the Gang all over France and all over Europe. And we're playing all these stadiums. So it's like my third time with them. I've done stuff with Chic and Nile Rodgers. Outside of the UK, I have a very different life. Very, very different life. It's like two different worlds.
How? How is it different?
Because the level of how I'm treated as a black British museum. Actually, I feel like
musician.
Yeah. Museum, listen to me. As a black British museum, I'm saying it again. Museum.
You're a musician, man.
Musicians, baby. As a black British musician, I haven't drank anything. It's like that we get the red carpet abroad, and here you get the doormat.
Why?
Because I don't think they really recognise the ability of a lot of there's so many artists, which brings me on to the film that I'm producing.
I would like
and
you to.
directing, which is called Flashback, which is basically the history of UK black music, which we started about 4 years ago. And initially my co-producer, who is from France but lives in Switzerland, he loved Imagination. He didn't know where we came from. He thought we were American, like a lot of people did. For all the years we were successful, he just thought, this is Imagination, an American group, and that was it. And then we met, and we were doing a project together, and it was a film project we were doing, and he met me and thought, but you're from, you have a strange accent, you're from, I said, I'm Cockney, mate, I'm from London, North London, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So he said, look, I'd like to do a documentary, a film on, you can co-produce, and we do together, you can direct, you can write. I said, cool. So we started doing it about Imagination, and then about 6 months into it, I felt like a tree. I felt like my tree had many branches to it, and I was not. No man is an island. You don't stand alone. And I think to everybody there is so many people that are connected to what you do.
Correct.
And that's what helps and enhances and brings you.
Yeah.
That makes you. And I had a vision, and I said to myself, you know what, there's going to be a lot of musicians who have contributed to the UK black music scene that will never get the light of day. You won't know anything about them. The world won't know about them. They'll know their music and just fade away. And then you may get somebody from the BBC doing it. I mean, I did, there was a Soul Britannica thing that they did, and it was like, it was really, it was not a homage to what people did.
Yeah.
It didn't honor what they did. It was like they didn't do well in America, so that was it. And then moved on to the next artist. And it was very, it was hypocritical, and it also did not uplift you. Mm-hmm. And I felt, when I watch American documentaries, especially when it's about black music, they uplift you.
Yes.
You see the power of the music, what everyone's done. Everyone's style is individual. That person had talent. They had a gift. They were a performer. They were this. It was all that. And we have the same thing in the UK. Mm-hmm. And with Flashback, I can say it now because we're nearly finished it. But we've still got a few more interviews, and we're now in the mid-'80s in our timeline. We started from the turn of the century up until, say, the 90s, as far as the industry was concerned, because the support for black British music kind of stopped in the industry in the 90s. It became more boy-girl rap bands and samples and stuff like that, and they were not record companies by the time you got to 20-something, 21st century. It became more reality television, and CDs were being disposed of, albums, forget it, it was gone. So you could see it with the record companies, and the support that we had, like in the 80s, was phenomenal, and the 70s. So we've interviewed some wonderful people. I mean, Clem Curtis from the Foundations, Eddie Grant, the guys from Loose End, Soul to Soul, Janet Kay, Carol Thompson, Osabisa, because we've got a variety of styles there. Heatwave, The Real Thing, Oh my goodness gracious! Recently, Amy Stewart, Ali Campbell from UB40, Dennis Bovell, who's a huge big producer, Aswad. Bloody hell, I can go. Go. Who else? I had DC Lee recently, Pauline Henry from the Chimes, because she used to do my hair for me, and because they got top 5 record. DC Lee got number 2 with See the Day.
Great song.
Errol Reed from China Black, that was recent. Oh my goodness, who else? A load of A&R people who signed them as well. Lincoln Elias, he signed Terence Trent D'Arby, he signed the Pasadenas, who we also interviewed. Mervyn Lynn, he'd signed quite a few different artists in the 90s. We interviewed some of the DJs, people like Trevor Nelson, who's from St. Lucia. Yeah. Norman J. Who else? Oh, Christ. Some DJs from our time, like George Power, from the scene that we went through. He was a really big club DJ. Greg Edwards, he had Soul Spectrum. He started it all. He started the whole thing on Capital Radio, where his soul show innovated the whole of UK. So it's quite in-depth. It's in-depth, it's very fast. It's very quick. So you get snatches of everything. We do a little bit on Northern Soul. We do a little bit about, because we've got Pauline Black and we've got Neville Staples from Special. So we've incorporated
When's
that.
this out?
Yeah, believe me, everyone's saying, Lee, when are you going to get it? And I'm saying, yeah, wait. So it's going to be something that we launch in America first. We've just had some interest from a TV company to do it as a series, but we also want to do it as a 2.5, say, theatrical film release. Yeah. So there's still a lot of work to do, but we have over 400 hours plus and about 200 plus interviews. So it's been a lot of work. So performing and singing and doing that is now fun. I just have a good time. Like tomorrow, tonight, whenever I'm performing at the Jam House and everywhere else, I just have fun and enjoy the audience because it's about the audience. Because when I go and do the real job, which is the film, that is very involved. That's a lot of business stuff to sort out, a lot of research, and it's a lot of your brain.
Yes,
and also. You are also absorbing everybody's stories. So I've become a digital walking, talking editor, and a sponge. So I'm editing, as I speak, I'm editing. So I'm getting everything in there. And the other thing I've been working with as well, which on the recording side is the British Collective. And that's been really fun to do because it's doing R&B but UK style, but different to how I would do it with Imagination. It's with Donny, who's had some success. He's a really, really strong, creative, producing and writing R&B singer. Very good. And he's collaborated with Junior to get this British Collective, which has Noel McCoy, who used to be with the McCoys, his family, and Omar, and myself. I think that's... And we've added Shauna Scoffrey on some records and Paul Johnson singing on some stuff. So it's quite an interesting UK collective. So there's an album being finished off. That should be out, I think, maybe before the summer.
On what label?
Yeah. We're not sure yet. We're not sure because it's just getting the support. It's not even so much about the label anymore. It's about who's going to distribute it or if it's going to be on iTunes, because the label, when it comes to Black British music, there is no support. There is no support except for pirate stations like yourselves or internet stations or digital stations. It's gone. We've kind of regressed. It was like the late 70s. You had pirate stations where I remember you hear do 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 do, playing on a Sunday. You had reggae time. On Sundays you listen to Steve Barnard or Rodigan, and then then you started to get soul stations coming in, and then by the time you got into the 80s, it's like, they got Kiss FM, and it was like, wow, this is going to be all, they play dance music and soul music and everything, and then it all went completely homogenized. Homogenized. It became like everything was Radio 1 sounding, and it was like boom, 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 and there was no soul anymore. There was no funk. There was no, I didn't know what I was listening to, and then all of a sudden it's like gone back to the listening to pirate stations again.
I agree,
and it's like. So people like yourself support the artists. We're not actually pirate,
we do pay our licenses.
Well, I'm sure you do. Everyone these days. Yeah. My God.
But you're right, Lee. There's, with the mainstream market, they play it too safe. They won't play anything that isn't on the playlist by a major record label.
You have to be on the playlist, or you've been on The X Factor or The Voice.
Correct.
Or you have to be on some reality show where
Correct.
they think we can really market you. And I've been asked to do some of these shows. The only thing I did was Reborn in the USA, which was very earlier on, before a lot of these things came to fruition. It was 2004, 2005. And it was basically... we were on the road in America, touring in a bus, and they basically... Then we were performing in towns that people didn't know who we were, which was a lot different. And we weren't debating and bickering, because we'd seen it and done it, you know.
Exactly.
Some of the younger ones didn't handle it so well, but, myself, Tony Hadley, Elkie Brooks, who I adore. She's I think she's the most underrated, iconic artist in the UK and she's actually part of her music is she loves blues and jazz. You know, she's an amazing. She's going to be 70, I think, next year. This year, I think, was it next year? I think, and an amazing woman who went through it all, and she was on the show, and I would say the team did not treat her well. She was not treated with the respect she should have. Yeah, because and there was Peter Cox from Go West. I love.
I remember that show, actually.
But it wasn't in the sense where we were backbiting. It's like we knew we'd seen it, done it. We just have a good time, and that's what we said. We're just going to enjoy ourselves and have a good time. But the teams, their different productions, wanted us to be bickering and fighting to make good TV, which a lot of the artists now, when they go on these shows, it's all part of the script.
Correct.
You know, like, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, you know, like, da-da-da-da-da. I'm thinking it goes away from the music, it goes from what people want to see you performing and entertaining. I want to see that eternal moment on stage. Yeah. You know, that classic moment, you know, that last note of the chord. You know, that's my drama, that's my theatre, that's where the blues, the jazz, the funk, the soul, the gospel, whatever, comes into it. That's what embraces me. But I find that some people want to gravitate. A lot of people these days who are getting into the business are they live out of the mobile, and it's basically. I mean, it is important. You have to Twitter and Facebook to a degree to reach people. Yeah. But you don't have to live it as your life. You don't have to, you know, it's about the music at the end of the day. And you've got to really follow your heart. And that's what with the flashback film, we have so many people talking about what they believe in. You know, actually we were editing Shara Nelson yesterday, do you remember, from Massive Attack? We had interviewed her before, so we were editing her bit. And you know, she was talking about, you know, being different, which is important. And finding within yourself your own style. Yeah. And that's where, in the 80s, we were very lucky because all the groups that I've mentioned previously were all uniquely different. By the time we did Top of the Pops, Lynx with David Grant would be on one stage, we'd be on another one, Phil Ferrone would be on another one, and we were all different.
Galaxy.
But you know, he's a really cool guy. He's interviewed, of course. And you know, he took a leaf out of Eddie Grant's book where he had his own record company, his own studio. He had his own distribution for a while, and he did it all himself, which is, I think, what it's all going to go back to. Isn't
that difficult though? Because as an artist, you want to write, you want to produce, you want to create. That's what you are. That's what you're about. You need the team that does all the nuts and bolts. Leee John needs to just sit around, chill.
Oh God, I wish.
And write and be the artist. He doesn't want to be mailing. He wants to be hands-on, but he needs the people to do that, to network, to distribute. You can't do everything, and also your creative juices flow.
You can't do everything. I mean, I'm lucky. I do have a team around me.
Good.
I have a team around me, but I keep on board with everything. You know, I have my guy on the roads. Ido's really, really cool tour manager. They deal with things. I've got Tony. I've got Archie. I've got Steve the Greek. Is not with us. He's gone to America. But he normally uses my merchandise. I have a team of people that have been with me for years. So they're reliable. And if one has to jump into someone else's shoes, they can. What's changed is the business. So therefore, as the business changes and evolves technically, I have to go back to school and learn that. When I say go back to school, I have to upgrade and update myself like the computer, because new things come into... And some of my team sometimes say, what's happened? I said, yeah, this is going on. Da, 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 this is what you go. So it's a situation where 1 minute, for example, with the recording industry, they didn't know, especially Sony, I'll say it straight out, they didn't even know where my marketplace was. Because they had younger people in the company that didn't really research to find out who Imagination's public were. And I'm saying, and they were trying to put me in a genre where I said, that is just not my public. You have to come to the shows and see, you know. And it was like very strange. And it was like fighting a battle, because you're thinking, they don't understand. And I think what happened in the 90s and mid-90s especially, everything became very, itemized. You're either rock, you're either pop, you're either this. It became like how America has done it. So, you know, they cater for this taste, and that was it. Which is great when you're in a big company marketing beer or you know, lingerie or a cologne or something like that. That's great to know what it is. But when you're doing music, it's a broad sense. It's got so many different colors. Like the new album that I'm recording, which the work title is Retropia, is based on the track. We have got a track called Utopia.
Okay.
And some of these songs I've written quite some time ago. Some of them are new. Some of them I've got the duet with Neville. I've got a duet with Mike Lindup from Level 42, who's also in the documentary. There's so many people that after a while it's like, oh my goodness, you know. And people say, oh, you got all those. And it's taken time to get some of these people to get the interviews from them. That's been, you know, I mean, like Eddie, I really wanted to get. Billy Ocean was important to get, and it took time.
Billy on it?
Yeah. It's very. It was, you know, and there were people that we have on there that you know, you just wouldn't believe that we have them, because some of them have never been on TV for years, or no one's even taken the time to interview them. And the way I feel, I kind of utilize the 21st century in how it's readjusted itself for the music industry, because I have to do the work of that body. I'm doing it, but it's interesting because at the same time, I go back and forth. You know, I'll listen to old stuff more than I listen to new stuff. I don't, you know, I'll say, oh, a few of the new artists like Labyrinth or whatever, I like the way he is. I like what he's doing now more than what I first heard. And you know, I know some of the dubstep guys and who do mixes for me occasionally. So I get into some of that, you know. And I try and get some young teams, like some people say, have you got an a cappella? And I said, well, let me hear what you do first. I just want to give out an a cappella and that's it, you know. I want to hear what, you know, if it's something that I can get into and that I can send it to my international market, because that's what I have. I have an international market. So, because I don't even think about the UK that much. And that's why people say, oh, Leee, you've got to do something here. And because I've been thinking more internationally, I've survived longer. That's basically it.
We're starting up, now we're on our way, leaving all our yesterdays behind. Something special that we wanna say. Happiness is just a state of mind. Flashback to the days when the nights were young. Flashback when we could do no wrong. Flashback we used to dance till the light of dawn. Flashback when our hearts were so strong.
And you can catch part 2 of our interview with Leee John next Friday at 8 o'clock on SRB Radio.